It's so loud.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I don't know if you'll be listening on a Friday, but it's Friday for us here in the internet world. Welcome back to Yappily Ever After. It's Sarah and I are on a mind meld moment where we wear the same thing every time we see each other. Today is White Shirt Day, and I love that for us.
Last week was
Sarah has a bunch of very fun stuff in store, so I'm going to let her take it away. But first, I'm Hannah Roze, your host, one of your hosts, founder and CEO of Plannerd.
And I am Sarah Peterson, head of marketing for Plannerd. So yes, you go.
Oh, I was just going to say, there's a kind of an exciting Plannerd announcement, which is, as of today, you can officially give Plannerd as a gift to someone. So for those of you who are tuning in who don't know, Plannerd is an online wedding planning suite, tools to help you plan your wedding and be organized and more enjoyable. And so you can actually enjoy wedding planning and have it not be stressful. And we were oriented more towards people who were needing to purchase it for themselves or wedding professionals. But now if you want to give it as a gift to someone in your life who's wedding planning, you can now do that. So you can go to plannerd.com and give it away. So
I love that. And I would have loved to have, obviously I had Plannerd the second that I started planning my wedding, but would have loved to have received something like that when starting to plan my wedding.
Yes. Okay, go for it.
Okay, questions from listeners. Some of these are Hannah oriented, some are Sarah oriented, and then we're going to save the ones for both of us at the end. So we're starting with a Hannah one. Question 1, what is something that you stressed about but didn't actually care about when it came down to wedding day?
Okay, I'm hearing all these fresh, so this will be my authentic responses. I think the cake was probably something, and I feel like I've mentioned this at different points, but we ordered so much cake, like 10 times more cake than we needed to. And, you know, you do the cake tasting and you try all the different flavors, and my mom even made our family's traditional wedding cake to supplement the other cake because it's like this huge tradition in our family. And that was one of the coolest things she could have done, was to put in that crazy amount of effort to make that cake. But I think when I look back on that moment and our values in the moment, we wanted to be dancing. We wanted to be partying and running around and yakking and chatting, but the cake, just the flow of the day, the cake came, it was dinner or happy hour, dinner, and then everyone got up and we started dancing and the band was playing, and then we kind of paused that to do the cake cutting moment. But I think because the band was so good, shout out to the Dart Collective, if you're on the West Coast, they were so good that everyone was like, okay, like get the cake over with. Let's just get back to the dancing part. So we spent a lot of time thinking about the cake because it's such a iconic wedding moment. But then it was almost like just a little bit of a blip in the day. And we stressed about it, and then it was not a big deal.
And then you were just drowning in cake.
And then we were literally drowning. We were like to all the vendors the next day, like, please take this cake. Like, can anyone eat more cake? Like, much, much more. Come on.
I love that. Okay. 1, what are a photographer's red flags when meeting with inquiring couples?
Yes.
Ooh. I would say my biggest red flag with an inquiring couple is I feel like there's a lot of people, and this is not just photography specific, I feel like, when planning a wedding, people get really big ideas. Like, especially Pinterest does not help. People get these insane ideas, and a lot of people don't realize that, like, your photos are dependent on time of day, location, the general aesthetic of colors going on. All of that has to work together. And I think a lot of people put a lot of expectation on like a photographer because they've seen some, like, you know, stunning work from a photographer. And then they're just like, oh, they can do that at my, 11 a.m. broad daylight wedding. And I'm like, but you're asking for golden hour photos. So I would say if someone has like lofty expectations, or if they come into the interview and want to, not interview, but like first meeting and want to change your whole style. I've had couples who are like, we really want this like, overblown look, like white everything. And I'm like, that's not me. And like, that's not my style. And I used to like take on more of that. And then it always bites you in the ass later because you know that you guys are on different wavelengths from the beginning. So now I really only try to take people that are like very excited about my work, trust me, and don't have all these like weird nuancy moments that I know they're going to like hyper fixate on and whatever, like it will not come to fruition eventually.
Yeah. Do people ever come to you and want just a style that's completely different than the style that they see on your website or social media?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I used to try to like cater to that because I think when I initially started, I was like, oh, maybe photographers are doing that. Like, and I do have different editing styles because I came from a different background. I came from a commercial background where it was very like realistic, but like airbrushed and like vibrant colors and stuff. And then when I initially went into weddings, everything was much more like rustic themed. This was back in that like, sage green era. And so then my editing transitioned to that. And then from there it transitioned to like, now I market it as very like true to tone. So it's very true to tone, but obviously we tweak some things. I try to make whites really, really bright because I want whites to be bright, but I still want there to be contrast. I don't want everything to be blown out. And you see that a lot in wedding photography. But yeah, I've had a lot of couples. I even have one now who wants a totally different style. And I'm like, oh, we should have discussed this prior. It does not. Match. It doesn't.
That's so interesting in the world of, photography specifically. It could be anything like floral or just design generally, but there's such an abundance of resources where you can see their work online, or you hope that there is, and you're choosing them because you know that what you see is something you would also like to replicate. So it's funny to me that you would choose someone and be like, you're my gal, you're my person, and then be like, but actually, let's do something completely different.
But actually, I would like you to completely redo your editing style entirely. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if for those people, if they're picking like based on like poses they saw, that's how I justified. I'm like, maybe you saw like some poses or like interactive poses that you like liked, but you didn't like the colors that I did. I don't know, but that is my biggest red flag for couples that are inquiring.
Yeah.
Hi friends, popping in here very quickly to tell you that if you love what you're listening to, please hit subscribe, click the like button, tell the algorithm gods that you love what you're hearing so we can continue putting out more great free content for you. Okay, back to the episode.
Okay, second Hannah question. What is the very first decision that I should make after getting engaged?
Oh, great question. I feel like this is the number one question that I get from couples and just people in the world of weddings. I think a lot of people would say budget. That's the next thing. And I think even before budget, I think there's a conversation about whose opinion do we care about?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I think it comes down to needing to get aligned with your partner about who are we going to put in the mix when we're making decisions. And I think that comes even before the budget conversation, because budgets can bring in, are there strings tied to budgets where you're going to take or accept a certain amount from a parent or a family member? And then does that mean that they get a vote in the ring when their money is in the mix, or how's that working? So I think it can lead naturally into the budget conversation, but I think determining right up front with your partner, like, is it you and me and just the two of us getting, input, or is your mom in the mix? Are we going to start opening the door to friends? And if you can set those boundaries early and be really specific about it, then you won't get caught up in listening and getting sidetracked by a bunch of people, because you could, hear someone's opinion, but you're like, I know who's really putting their hand up and getting a vote that I care about. So it kind of relieves you from feeling pulled in a million different directions later down the line.
Totally. That's something Trevor and I were actually talking about that the other day, because my parents, I don't know how, I'm the oldest, we've never planned a wedding before, but they had the wherewithal before we even like started wedding planning to sit us down and be like, okay, we are going to give you X amount of money, no strings attached, nothing. You do with it what you want. Like, That's it. That's all that we want to like have a part of in the planning process. And now being so deep into the planning process, I'm like, that was huge. Like, because then I like allocate everything and like people didn't have to own individual aspects of it. And once that starts happening, then it gets a lot more convoluted. So I agree. I think that should be the first conversation that everybody is having. Question 2 for Sarah. Is a full service wedding planner worth it if you're already a vendor who knows the industry? Yes.
Ooh, great question for you.
Great question. And yes, I actually think prior to planning my own wedding, I would have leaned more like, I would have had a lot more confidence in like thinking that I could just like plan a wedding immediately. But then you actually start to figure out the logistics of the day. And I think having someone who is just like running everything behind the scenes makes it so that your, you know, immediate family, bridal parties, etc., bridegroom can like actually enjoy themselves, especially at a venue. We're doing a venue where you have to bring everything in, like the tent and all of that starts days before the actual event. And so having Chelsea, my wonderful wedding planner, I think will be like imperative to our own stress levels because we don't have to coordinate anything. Like she's handling everything. So that part alone was super helpful. And then also just having access to her connections, especially planning a wedding outside of the state that I work in for weddings. That was huge too, because I needed so many more referrals and things because I didn't have all of my, I'm flying some of my vendor friends up there, but a lot of stuff needed to come locally. And so she had great advice, great referrals, and everybody that she put us in touch with was wonderful. So I say yes, everybody, I don't care how deep in the wedding industry you are, should have a wedding planner.
Yeah, it's not just about, my impression, it's not just about the expertise, but the execution. And you could know everything like you do, but then that doesn't mean that you have the time or the juggling desire to do all the stuff. And so I feel like no matter your budget, having someone in to some degree helping you, either day of coordination or a longer, more comprehensive thing, like that is so helpful. And not only that they exist, but that their systems are helping, you know, further your organization and your peace of mind, because there are definitely wedding planners out there who maybe lean more into the like aesthetic design beauty side, but then their systems aren't there. And then you're still left feeling unorganized or overwhelmed. So it's like expertise, execution, systems. There you go.
Done. I totally agree. Okay. Hannah, who would you award your MVP wedding vendor from your wedding?
Oh man. Okay. Let's see. So one that's sort of an unexpected one, because we had a literal football team as a wedding party. If I think I've mentioned this at some point, but I think I had 12 bridesmaids and Grayson, my husband, had 13, or I had 11 and he had 13. We were kind of uneven, which is an unreal amount of people to. I think I've put this photo up before, but we have a photo, you know, zoomed out, and it's like everyone down the side. It was insane. But because of that, we had a woman, it was a mother-daughter team, and I'll put her handle in the show notes, but she came and steamed every single person's dress, every single person's suit, the ties, everything. She
50 outfits.
Literally, like we were all staying on the property, so it wasn't like, where's everyone's stuff? Like everyone was up on the racks. We had them all nicely organized, but they came through and steamed and prepared every single person's outfit. And then the morning of, because we planned our wedding over 2 years because of COVID, we moved our wedding out from 2021 to 2022 and eloped in the meantime. So we did this thing, which was very extra, I admit, but we wanted to, as a gift to for Grayson specifically, the gift for his groomsmen was that we were going to buy their suits for them.
Nice.
And give them, you know, this beautiful suit. And not only can you wear it on the day, but you can go off and have it to wear in your life. So we started planning in 2020, got the suits for 13 people. This also, the same suit for 13 people, there's not a single suit that fits 13 body types. So that was an insane endeavor. We had this amazing man in the Nordstrom suit department who helped us with everything. And God bless that man. He had a real job ahead of him. But people's bodies changed so much over the course of those 2 years. Like one of our friends got into powerlifting, and then his body, he went from like a string bean to this like super jacked dude. So that guy in particular split his pants moments before we were all about to walk down the aisle. And the mother-daughter team, their whole kind of value proposition is they handle all of the like garments and preparation. And if there's anything like a stain or a rip or a tear, they come loaded. They're seamstresses. So they have everything there. So they quickly like sewed it up or put safety pins to remedy the situation. And it was just like right up the butt, like the tear that just exposes you to the wind. So they were the true MVP, doing all the prep and then also saving him like literally 30 seconds before we walked down. It was like, oh my God.
I'm a suspecting one. I've never heard of, well, I haven't even heard, that's a really good idea though for weddings, is to have someone come in and like do all of that. Cause I see so much time get wasted on like, people don't think about steaming. And then all of a sudden you're in like the getting ready suite. And I'm like, somebody needs to start steaming now. Like it's going to take a lot longer than you think.
Yes. And why is it always the oldest, most janky steamer, the kind, you know, the kind with the giant handle, and it's on that stand and everyone's like, how do I work this? And it's like ruining your dress with the water stains and stuff. Like, yeah, I would say buy a good steamer, practice using it beforehand, and just please steam your things.
Steam your things. And steam the getting ready robes. That is my,
oh my God, yes,
biggest pet peeve as a photographer is you have all these little robes in like, you know, they come in like Amazon plastic, whatever. And you just pull them out. Now they're staticky. Everyone's in these robes and there's lines everywhere. And they're like, you can edit that out, right? And I'm like, no, like I could, but it will take literally days. Like, no.
Yeah, the robes, the pajamas, if you're going to do any kind of getting ready thing, please steam it. There's nothing that looks cheaper than those lines on your thing. Like you can make a super affordable, like cheap outfit look good if you steam it.
If you steam it. Exactly. Just
I feel passionately about that.
Very passionate. Okay, so MVP wedding vendor is?
I would say they really pulled it out, but the one I would say that's in the more like typical realm, our florist did such an amazing job. His name is Max Gill. He's out of the West Coast in California, and he was just such a fun person to work with and so inspired and creative and really wanted to be thinking out of the box. And he introduced us to all these different flowers. And at our first meeting, he was like, tell me about what flowers you like. And I'm like, I don't really know. I'm not a green thumb girly at all. So I didn't even know like names. I was just like, how about this one on my Pinterest board? But he was super creative. And also with, you know, that many people in a bridal party, he needed to create bouquets for 12 women and my bouquet and the boutonnieres and have it not look, you know, like copy paste for every person.
Like round.
Yeah. So they more like dimension, kind of more organic looking. And I think it contributed to the look, even though there were so many people, that it had hopefully like an organic look to it. But yeah, he went above and beyond to provide that many bouquets, boutonnieres, everything around the venue. Like he went above and beyond, and great guy.
Oh, that's an exciting one. I like that. Okay. Sarah, what wedding aesthetics photograph the best? Oh, color. Anything with color, anything with patterns. That's my favorite. I love over the top weddings, just like people who like actually lean in and like have fun with it and make fun choices. I think a lot of people get really scared when planning a wedding and like don't even know where to start. So they're just like, and then they get overwhelmed, but you get decision fatigue very fast when planning a wedding. But I think a lot of people kind of just cave to that and are like, I don't care what color the tablecloths are, like make everything white, whatever. And then you don't realize how much little things like that actually do for your photos. So I feel like the most successful weddings, it's literally like what you were just talking about with like the florist, like doing dimension and things like that, giving people something to look at that's not just cookie cutter white tablecloths everywhere. That would be my wedding aesthetic that I love. Or when people take things like over the top. So like I had one couple that comes to mind really leaned into like, remember the disco ball trend? Disco balls
I think it's still going to some extent.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely still going. It's tapering out, but like
it's tapering.
It's tapering out, but 2024 was like the year of the disco ball. Or pearls, both of those. And I had one couple who they had like it was a big wedding, like over the top wedding, very like Chinese inspired. So they had like the dragons and stuff and like crazy things for like people to look at. But then they also leaned into like modern trends. And so they had disco balls in like every floral centerpiece, like up the walls in the corner.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, it was cool. And it's like, looking back, I feel like if you go over the top like that, then it's like you're making such a statement that people aren't going to look back and be like, oh, like they overdid the trend. I'm like, no, they leaned in and like, had fun with it. And that's exciting as a photographer because you don't see that often.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
Color and anything unique that like you don't see every single day or that doesn't look like a corporate board meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I think weddings can look like that very easily.
Yeah. Speaking of floral, when you're mentioning the dimensional floral piece, I saw a cool idea I wanted to quickly share. It was an idea where on the table setting, what am I trying to say? The table card.
Oh.
Table assignments.
The numbers or the table numbers or like
the big board where you go up to grab your little card and you get your seating assignment or what's like a descriptive word for this?
Seating chart.
The seating chart, yes, but like the aesthetic seating chart. So the seating chart is a wall of flowers and they're all in these little individual like little water container things. And each person grabs their flower and you take it to the table. And then in the middle of the table is a vase. And then everyone puts their flower in the middle and that becomes the centerpiece of the table. And you get to like arrange it kind of as a little group or something. I thought it was so cute.
That's good. It gives people things to do. I'm always like looking for ways to get people to like interact because I feel like weddings can be very boring. Just having been a guest at weddings, I'm like, if there aren't things for people to do, it's very boring. You're standing there for like 5 hours.
Yeah,
like,
I thought it was a fun way to get people to talk to each other, especially if you're at a table where you don't know anyone and you're having the like, what do you do conversation, but you can like have a little activity moment at your table. And I thought that was just so cute.
Oh, I love that. That's a good idea. I've never seen that done before, but I like that a lot. If you could do your wedding over, what is one thing that you would change and one thing you would do again?
Let's see. Well, as the longtime listeners know, I had 2 weddings. So I had the 14-person elopement and then the 170-ish person blowout one. I mean, having an enormous bridal party, I would do it again in a heartbeat. It was super fun. I would double down on that. It was so fun to have all of our friends up there and just to feel so much support from our community, especially because my husband and I, we went to school. We're from the West Coast, went to school on the East Coast, came back to the West Coast, and we were on sports teams and did tons of different like extracurricular things. So we have a lot of people from different parts of our life. And to have them all there and there was something really special about having them up there with you. And I think because we had a large enough total head count, there were a ton of people up there with us, but there were also a ton of people in the audience. So it didn't feel like we took everyone and then there was like a sprinkling of people watching, which is possible.
Up there with you.
Yes. So that was really cool. Now, related, something that I might change or do differently. When we were standing there, this is related to the bridal party, I'm looking at him, and then behind him is his row of all his guys. And then behind me are all my ladies. And I may have mentioned this at some point, but it did occur to me that I felt the energy of my ladies behind me, but I didn't get to see them because I wasn't like looking back at them. So it could have been cool to switch it so that
it is cool.
Yeah, I think that could have been nice so that I could be looking at him and then looking at them. And that because we switched our parents so that our parents could be looking, opposite at us. But I think I would have liked to have done the same thing with the ladies, or even like sprinkle back and forth where it was like a few on both sides and it wasn't like mine and yours so distinctly.
Yeah.
So that's something I would do differently because it was fun because all of our friends are each other's friends. So it wasn't like I didn't know his people, like we're all one big friend group. But it would have been nice to like make eye contact with my girls and just have like that be more with them looking at them. So
well, and they would probably like that too, because then they get to see your reactions.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally agree. I love that. We're doing that as well. It's very unconventional because we're doing a round aisle, which is confusing. So we had to figure out, I was like, okay, my family has to be behind Trevor, facing me, and his needs to be behind me, facing him. But I agree. I think the traditional sense of like a wedding ceremony needs to be reevaluated.
Yes.
Okay. If you could choose one part of a wedding day to add 30 minutes to, what would it be? Probably right after the ceremony. And a lot of people do this, but like giving the couple like even like 30 minutes just to like be by themselves, I think is huge, because I see a lot of people that do not factor that in at all. So it goes like straight from ceremony to like, okay, we're doing like 10,000 family photos and like we're yelling out the shot list or whatever. And now it's like, okay, now everybody go to cocktail hour, and like bride and groom want to go to cocktail hour, which is fun. But I do think having that little moment to yourselves, because that can sometimes be like the only moment throughout the entire day where you guys are like actually alone. So I would put it there. If not, I would put it at like first looks. I think a lot of people rush first looks. And so we'll like go out, do the first look, and then they're like, okay, what's next? And I'm like, no, like have your moment. Like you get to see each other for the first time. And usually it's like halfway through the day because you've been in hair and makeup and all of that. So I think anywhere where you could add time for just the two of you would be my biggest takeaway.
I like that. +1.
Love that one. Okay. Last hand question. What do couples underestimate about planning a wedding?
I think I underestimated how meaningful it was going to be for other people outside of myself and Grayson. I came into it with a very like us-centric perspective, which is both correct and not, I guess, where I was like, this is our wedding, celebrating our love, and it's like our moment with our friends. And I think looking back on it, there's so many other people who it's a milestone for, like your parents and your family and your friends, and everyone is participating in the milestone with you. And I think it was hard to know that leading up to it because I just hadn't experienced it before. But being able to see how meaningful coming together and celebrating someone in the family was to everyone, I think that kind of changed my perspective. It also made me think, having our daughter, she's only a year and a half, but and I feel like I'm planning her wedding. But I feel like I've said this at some point before, but I would love if she was up for it that I could have a few of my friends at her wedding to help me celebrate the milestone with her. And I think we were or maybe more me than Grayson. I was very intent on like, I don't want to meet anyone at my wedding. I don't want to have like an introduction to someone who isn't deeply meaningful to me at the wedding. And there's a part of me that still believes that, and that was true for me in the moment. But my parents were like, can we have some of our friends there? And at first I was like, no. Which we all wanted people who are meaningful, But also, like, now looking back, I'm like, I'm glad that we did allow some of their friends to be there too, because on both sides, his parents and mine, because it's a party for them, it's a celebration for them also. And I think a little bit of distance from the moment gave me a bit more of a like bigger picture perspective on the celebration. So
I like that. That's kind of how we did it unintentionally. Was like we kind of gave our parents, I was like, okay, pick your like 3 like couples who were best friends, because my parents have a lot of like, you know, couples or family friends that we grew up with and stuff. So they picked like 3 to 4 couples who they were like, we want them there. And I'm like, okay, fine, that's your friend table. So they have their friend tables, and then we have our friend tables, and then it's just a lot of family and stuff. But yeah, I think that's super important, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't even realize until they're actually there.
Yeah.
Okay. Last Sarah question. What is the biggest photography regret you see couples have after the wedding's over?
Oh, wow. What a great question.
Unbelievable question. I see a lot of brides, and this kind of goes back to that initial like first question that was asked about like red flags. I see a lot of brides, grooms, mainly brides, who really hyper fixate on the photos and want like 10,000 group photos and every combo imaginable. Like your shot list is like, you know, hundreds of photos long, and that is great. I think the photos that you actually end up loving are candid ones, you like mingling with those people, like people laughing and like that kind of stuff is way more important than like some staged photo that you're going to look at one time. And I think people really don't understand that until after, when they go through the gallery and stuff. And then they're like, oh my gosh, like they got like, you know, my grandpa laughing with my grandma. Like that's what you're going to look back on. But I think people just get wrapped up in like trying to capture every moment of the day. And when they do, I'm like, you're actually not even leaving enough time to like enjoy your own event. And those are going to be the photos that are important. So I see that happen a lot. And I also think, and like on the flip side of that is like the couples who actually enjoy themselves and like don't have 10,000 shot list things are the ones that love their galleries, and the galleries that I love, because it gives us more creative freedom. It gives more time throughout the day because like they're actually talking and engaging with everyone. And I just think the gallery looks more like they're enjoying themselves than like, I mean, I've had some brides who just stand there and bark like to people in photos. And I'm like, you don't even have like fun candid ones, because like and you can see it on the guest face too. Like if you start yelling at people too much, I'm like, it's gonna show. It'll show in your photos for sure. Because then people are fighting and bickering and like it's just too stressy. So
yeah, 100% agree.
That's my big one.
There is one regret, a photography regret that I have from our wedding, which was when I went to go put on my dress. For some reason, the photographer was directing me to bring my maid of honor in there with me, which is, you know, a typical thing to do. But it wasn't like a little conversation about who do you want to be a part of this photo. Weird. And so she had me bring her in, and my mom wasn't in there during the like dress zipping up moment. She was in the like getting ready room with all of my other ladies.
Weird.
So when I came out of the room, like when I was actually like getting nude and then putting on the dress, that's when I like showed my mom and the rest of the girls. But it was a really special moment with my maid of honor gal, but I wish my mom had been there too. And I look back on, I'm like, why wasn't she there for that? And she was for the other wedding. So like we had that moment, before, but I do feel like I've never asked her that actually. Like, did you feel slighted by not being there? But I look back on it, I'm like, she should have been there to like be a part of that moment. So like there are little moments where you should think like, who do I want to be a part of this? Even if I was sort of trusting the photographer to cue me in the way that would be best for everyone, which I should be more thinking about like, what do I want in that moment? So
yeah. I mean, as a photographer, I usually ask the bride, like, who's getting into your dress? Like, because you don't want to assume, like, maid of honor, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a good one. I agree. Okay, both of us. What is one piece of wedding advice you received that you do not agree with?
Oh man, okay.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I have one.
Yes.
So, this was one where our wedding planner was adamant about this, and I'm sure this works for other couples or like other people feel strongly about it. But she was really excited to do like a first look of our tablescapes and to have us go see them.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we got to see it, but it did take us away from everyone for another little bit. Yeah. And we were already going to be taken away briefly for photographs. And it was like, I think she was really excited about it, which I can totally understand because there's so much work that goes into it. But we were also like just about to see it anyway with all of the guests. And so we kind of stole away to see it. But I was kind of like, okay, like next. And that's totally a me thing. But a lot of people told me, make sure you get to see the table set up before everyone is sitting and like all of their stuff is everywhere.
You walk in like,
I'm like, looks good. I love it. And I felt like in that moment I had to kind of give like more of a reaction because she was kind of like waiting to see my reaction. And I was like, yay.
Good job. And I feel like that's how it goes. It's a planner thing for some reason. Like they always want to do the first look. And I think it's because they take so much pride in the setup of things, but it's that same reaction every time. Cause like they'll come and get me as a photographer and be like, okay, you got to get like the first look with the stuff. And I'm like, pretty much like them walking in being like, nice. Literally, that's it.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, mine. This is actually funny because I will say this is the initial advice that I was like, oh, hell no. And now I get it. When we first got engaged, my dad, so let me back it up. When my parents got engaged, my grandpa, so my mom's dad, gave my parents an ultimatum and was like, okay, I will either like give you a check for like, I don't know how much, but we'll either give you a check and you guys can just elope and like buy a house, or we'll do the big wedding. And they opted for the like cathedral wedding, like dress blues, everything. And now like that was dad's biggest regret is he's like, we should have taken the check. We were like 22 years old. We had no money. Like instead we chose to do the huge wedding. Reverse it. When I got engaged, my parents were like, okay, we're going to give you X amount of money to do with it. Literally same ultimatum.
Yeah.
And I was like, I cannot imagine not doing the wedding. Like, you guys are crazy for even saying elope. Like, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm like so deep in wedding planning, and I'm like, we could have. And at least like once a month, Trevor and I are like, we should have cashed the check. Like, we should have just done it and gotten it over with and ran, because there's so much more that goes into wedding planning than you think. I think when you like start out, you're just like, oh, it's going to be a fun process. And then I'm like, no, it's like kind of like another part-time job. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Decisions. And so I feel like depending on the type of person you are, and like if you really want to take that on, am I happy that we took it on? Yes. Is it going to be the best wedding I've ever attended? Yes. But the process to get there, I'm like, you really do like sacrifice a lot of your time for that year. So
it's such a roller coaster. It's like engagement, high, and then you're like stressed about all the logistics. And then it's like, it's getting closer and you're getting excited. And then maybe it goes down like stress again. And then after the wedding, you're like, I'm so glad we did this. It was amazing.
That, and like, that's what we keep reminding ourselves is I'm like, I know for a fact when we see like all of these people from all walks of life in the same room, like that's probably never going to happen again. Therefore, like, I know that we're going to be happy we did it. Does that dispute the fact that I've had like 10 breakdowns throughout this process? No. But it'll be good when it's done. But my dad's advice was the bit of advice that I was like, I can't even believe you would say that. Like, I'm a wedding vendor. You know, weddings are important. Like, no.
You're like, Dad, I know this.
Second, both question. What would your biggest advice to a bride and groom with no wedding industry knowledge be?
I mean, I think this is the majority of people. You're like,
yeah,
oh, entering the wedding world, what is in store for me?
My biggest advice, I think starting out, like first, like you get engaged and you don't even know where to start, is do not fall down the Pinterest rabbit hole until you have the budget conversation. Or like at least map out like what type of wedding you want to do, whether it is like a micro ceremony or a massive like 250 person blowout event. Like nail down a type of wedding that you like want to go for before you fall into the wonderful world of like Pinterest and inspo and stuff. The inspo is like super fun to go through, but I just feel like people don't even realize like what they're looking at. Kind of like I see so much inspo where I'm just like, being in the industry, I'm like, okay, I know that that's like $100,000 flower wall, you know, like I'm like, these things are unattainable to most people. And so I think a lot of brides and grooms, at least that I deal with in like the early stages of wedding planning, have these like insane grand ideas that don't actually come to fruition, but they get so worked up about it and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, we got to like take it back down and figure out like where you're going to do it, how many people, budget wise, what you want to allocate to it. Maybe you have unlimited funds and you can do the $100 flower wall. But if you can't, I think being realistic starting out is a good way to go about it.
Yeah, I think checking in with yourself about your level of like just feeling secure in the decisions that you're going to make and checking yourself for the comparison thief of joy of it all, where maybe you're going to a lot of other people's weddings, or maybe you're seeing a lot of other weddings on social media. And I think the trap of social media and Pinterest and Instagram and everything is that, you know, you make a decision in the real world and then maybe your algorithm gets a whiff of something and then you're being shown a bunch of other things, but it's that version on steroids. And you're feeling like, did I make the right decision? Did I not? Like when I got my wedding dress, I felt amazing about it in the moment, said yes to the dress and all the things. But then I kept getting all these wedding dress Instagram posts. And then I'm like, did I pick the right one? Like what's happening? So I would say pick something, make a decision, and then don't look at other stuff. Yeah. Don't continue looking at the same genre of thing that you've already decided. Like move on to looking at something else, or, you know, tell Instagram like not relevant anymore or something. So you can be like, don't keep, you know, beating a dead horse about the same thing that you've already decided, because that's where the fatigue comes in my opinion.
It's actually funny that you mentioned the Instagram thing, because my aunt and I were talking about this, and so was so we just decided this last week that we are now doing a bridal party, but it's very small. So I asked my like two best friends to be my co-maids of honor, and I gave them all colors for like their dresses. I'm like, you guys can wear whatever you want, but like stay in your color. And Hallie, one of the maids of honors, she's olive. And so she immediately like, and I think because when we were all together, we were talking about the dresses and stuff, and she's like, oh, like olive, I love olive. Like, and her mom was talking about how good she looks in olive. So like we have these conversations. Callie goes home, texts me like an hour later, and she's like, I ordered this dress. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Already. And she's like, dude, my whole Instagram feed is floor length olive dresses. Like now ads for olive dresses. And she's like, I literally, like, I just ordered it. I've never heard of this brand. Like, I don't know. It looks good. And I'm like, how? And so then we were talking about it. We were like, I guess we should tell it like, you know, we need a really fun, colorful outfit for the welcome party. And like, so
Montana chic.
Montana wedding chic. Yeah. Literally, that was us. And I was like, wow, I never even thought about that. But she's like, well, but now I don't know, because then she started getting more ads.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, we're in the like decision overload category. And my aunt's the same way. She's like trying to figure out her dress. And she's like, okay, I ordered this one, and then I got an ad for this one. So then I ordered this one, and then I liked it more than this one. So I'm returning that one, kept this one, but still getting ads. And like, maybe I want to go colorful now. I'm like, oh my gosh, like everyone is having decision overload, not just bride and groom.
Yeah, it's insane, honestly.
It's insane. Okay, we have our love it or leave it category for this week.
Excellent.
We have 6 of them. So number 1 is colored and black and colored or black wedding dresses. So everything but white.
I do think it's incredibly chic when people do the all white wedding. I wouldn't personally do it because I want to be a diva on my wedding day and I don't want other people to be in white. But it's incredibly chic. So I would say, I mean, I like color. So bring in the color, the saturated, the bold, the, you know, all the things. So I would say love it.
I say do whatever makes you happy. If that makes you happy and you want a black wedding dress, do it. I actually had a bride who had a black wedding dress and it was unbelievable. And like,
this is wedding dress, not just
wedding dress. This is colored or black wedding dress. So like everything but white.
I'm seeing more of this actually on Instagram, but I think I've seen more of like little overlay, like little floral pieces or like textured tulle that might be like a blush tone or even blue, like super icy blue. I'm seeing a lot of that right now.
Yeah, that's huge. I would say I only love it if you do it well.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're gonna do the black wedding dress, like the bride that I'm thinking of, like unbelievable wedding dress, and then she had like matching veil, black nails, she had a black diamond as her everything, but like her whole vibe was like incredible. But then I've seen other people do like, you know, the pink wedding dress, and I'm like, okay, but you didn't do it hard enough, therefore you kind of look like a bridesmaid. So do it, commit to the bit, and then I'll love it. If not, I'm leaving it.
I'm thinking about Christine from Selling Sunset.
Okay, that's exactly what the bride who I'm talking about looked like. Like it was the same thing where I'm like, oh, you went big.
Yeah, you got to go big if you're going to do something super off the beaten path.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, 2, minimalist decor at a wedding.
I mean, I feel similarly. Like if you're going to go minimal, I don't want to see a thing. Like minimal nothing. Like a single flower in a vase is your floral. Like,
yeah,
I think the line between minimal and like you maybe didn't try enough, like you can play with that. And I think it's very dependent on your commitment level and also the venue itself. Like some venues, the beauty of the venue can stand alone and you don't need a lot of extra stuff. But other ones, like you need to bring some things to make it feel that lived in beautiful aesthetic vibe. And yeah, if you're going to go, I love a minimal moment. Like, okay, our wedding planner did this insane wedding at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. Oh. And it was like, it wasn't just a wedding. It wasn't just a wedding. It was like, it was so much more. It was literally like art installation where they had these crazy, like hanging, I can't even describe. I'll put up a photo here of something. So yeah, I'd say minimal, but you have to commit.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. For me personally, I'm saying leave it only because I am such a maximalist of details. Like details are my favorite part of a wedding. And I think it's really hard to do minimalist without looking cheap when it comes to weddings. Because the cheap weddings that I do get, which is few and far between, but when I do get a cheap wedding, that's my one takeaway is I'm like, oh, we didn't budget for anything. Like you have your guests sitting at a boring, you know, just basic table, not even a candle or like, you know, some like sand with shells, something super boring that I'm just like, there's nothing to look at, like, wow you, and you're expecting these guests to sit here for like 2-3 hours. Like, no, you got to kind of like play with it. Although if you're going to do minimalist, I think there are ways to do it. My aunt and I were talking about this because she's a florist. And some of the like wedding trends for flowers right now are like, we were talking about like ikebana stems, which is these really cool little like trays, and you stick the stems in them, and then they're like, but like it's literally just an inch of water. And so she really wants to have like fun with her wedding, and I was like, I want like different floral installs on like every table. So every table is totally different, which is fun. Obviously, much more on the maximalist side, but to like balance that out, some of it has to be minimal. So she's like, what if we just did like ikebana stuff down like the 2 head tables? And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, because it's just like kind of like random and minimalist-y. So I can go either way on it, but I think for the most part, I'm leaving it only because I love the details of the wedding. I think it's a fun part of the wedding.
Yeah.
Give people something to look at. Okay, first looks and private vows.
Leave it for me.
Nosy.
Private vows. No, I need to see you cry. I need to see the lip quivering. I need to see you digging deep to keep your act together in front of your family. It's a rite of passage, in my opinion.
To do it.
You have to do it. Don't be a wimp and do it in private. I know you're considering that, but don't do it. I want to see.
From a nosy, okay. Love it for guests. Like,
Yeah.
I love it. As someone who has social anxiety in front of people, I hate it. But I don't know. We're currently like debating this because my sister is officiating us, and she's like, "Which way are we going with this?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "I know we need to give people something. Like, we can't just like stand up and be like, I do, woo!" Like, okay, we're done.
Mhm.
No. But I'm like, how far do we take it? Because also, like, sometimes I've been, I guess, a part of like I've done over 400 weddings now. That's a lot of vows to have to, woo! But shit ton of vows to have to listen to. And sometimes, like, if they're like 10 minutes long and you start telling stories and stuff, you're losing me. I'm like, okay, wrap it up. My dad's big thing is be bright, be brief, be gone.
Oh, yes.
I think stick with the be bright, be brief, be gone, but make it heartfelt enough that like people understand why you chose that person to marry.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, number 4, grand exits.
I have not actually been to a wedding where someone did this. I've only ever seen it in Pinterest photos and movies. I feel like the flow of yesteryear was grand send-off, go to the airport, go on your honeymoon immediately. And there is something really romantic about the grand send-off, but in this day and age, I feel like you're after partying, you're getting sloppy, like maybe you are, maybe not, but you're staying up late at the very least. And there's not a send-off in that same way because you're just like going to the next thing all together.
Yes.
So it'd be a little odd if you did a send-off and you're like, see you in 10 minutes at the after party, which maybe if you really want the photo, go for it. But I'm going to say leave it.
I am also saying leave it because as a vendor who has to coordinate the send-off, as the photographer who has to coordinate the send-off, usually it's an absolute shit show because by then you're left with just the people who made it through like everything and are now hammered. Like it's like just the immediate like bridal party and everyone's letting loose and everybody wants to go to the after party. So then to like make people pause and be like, hey, I need you to like put your drink down and come outside and pick up the sparkler and stand here for 10 minutes. Like getting drunk people that coordinated is very hard to do. So, and we've had, I would say like 9 times out of 10, something goes wrong. You have like some drunk groomsman who like jumps in front or something. And I'm like, great. Like you had one shot. You had one shot to get it right. So the coordination alone is enough for me to leave it. But then on top of that, it's exactly what you said is like, people don't just like get in the limo and like be whisked away anymore. So now anybody that does want to do a grand send off, I always tell them, I'm like, you have to be prepared for this weird, awkward moment when you get to like the end of the tunnel and you turn around and you're like, we did it, like, okay. And then like, now what? And that's exactly what all your guests are thinking is just like, okay, like, can we go back inside now? Like, can I go get my stuff? Like, I left my things in there. Where's my drink? Like, that's the general consensus of send-offs this day and age.
Here's what I would do instead. If I was getting married and I was committed to doing like a send-off.
Yeah.
I do love, I'm picturing a certain image where you're in like a vintage convertible car and there's like a little sign, the just married sign with the cans. Like I would do a teeny little like go off with your photographer and do a little faux send off because I think those photos can be so chic. Like in my mind, I'm picturing it as like not sepia in a corny way, but like black and white sort of, you know. I'm gonna find an example of this, but like something of a send-off-esque type photo. I think those can be really cool, but I agree. It messes with the flow if not done really, really well.
I now advise people, anybody who wants those type of like, you know, like I call them like tunnel photos where like people on either side. Now I've had a few couples who have done it into the reception. Like if your cocktail hour is like outside, we did one that was at a winery and they really wanted send off photos, but I wasn't going to be there until like 11 when they were doing send off. So I was like, okay, you can do your send off, but you're not going to have photos of it. And that's what you want is the photos. And so instead we got like everybody up and by early in the night, it's way easier to coordinate. And so we had them like outside where the cocktail hour was. Everybody had already come in, taken their seats. DJ is like, everybody get off your feet, and we're gonna make a line into like the center of things. And so all of their guests were like standing there with like pom-poms and things, and then they like ran through the tunnel and into the center of the dance floor. However,
that's cute.
It was cute, but that was supposed to be their first dance. They were supposed to go into their first dance. And then you're left with like, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter what time you're doing it at. People, like, once you get to the end, there's this awkward, like, now what?
What happens now?
What do we do? So now all of a sudden there's 150 guests on your dance floor, and you're supposed to, like, the, you know, whatever Ed Sheeran song starts playing. And get off the dance floor, like they need to do their first look, and people are like, oh, and it's a mess.
Scatter people.
Yeah, get off. Yeah.
Do you have are you gonna do a first dance / have you picked out what song you don't have to say, but what have you picked out what it's gonna be?
Only gonna say this for the pod, and well, because Felicia and Sean, our number one listeners here, or my brother and sister-in-law, they listen to this will be giving something away a little bit, but I don't really care. Yes, and we're doing it very I needed it to be unconventional because I was like, I am not one for like the waterworks with like the first dances, and I didn't want there to be 10 first dances. So instead, Trevor and I both of our parents have both been married for like over 35 years. And so because of that, we were like, okay, I think we're going to do 2 types of dances. The first one starts with Trevor and I are together, his parents are together, and my parents are together. And halfway through that song, his dad and my mom go off. And then he goes and dances with his mom. I go and dance with my dad. And then towards the end, they go off. And then it's just back together and it's us. And then the fun part is that because we're doing like a Western wedding, we wanted to make it kind of like swing dance, like 2-step style. So it's going to transition into our first dance song, which is very like we actually like have to get like someone to choreograph it, because I'm like,
oh my God, tell me the choreography so I'm prepared.
So that's the thing, is we're like, maybe we like send a video to like half the guests or like young guests or something, so that people know it and then can like jump in after. Because when we initially pitched this, like half of like maid of honor and everyone was like, oh wait, like I want to be involved, like I want to come on. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, so I think that's how we're gonna swing it, if we can pull off some like grand choreographed.
I love that idea. You just reminded me, do you want to hear one of the cringiest things ever in my own personal wedding experience?
Obviously.
Grayson and I went to a wedding once where there was a planned like flash mob with choreography for the entire guest list. Everyone was in on it except for Grayson and me.
Wait, did you join in?
No, it was too specific. I'm like, I don't know the steps. We must have been the absolute last minute additions to this wedding. This was, I highly doubt this person is listening, but it was one of my best friends from middle school. And if you are listening, wow, thank you for digging into this pod and listening. We must have been the last minute additions. I am not kidding. Okay, it wasn't a giant wedding. There may be like,
that was my next question.
It was like
how big?
60 to 80 people.
Okay.
Imagine, so first they're dancing to a song, like the couple, and then a couple people jump up and they're doing some moves, and then more people, and then more people, and then 60 to 80 people are up there doing a dance, and then Grayson and I are seated looking at, we were the only ones who were not in on this little secret happening. It was one of the most awkward moments of my personal life. I was like, oh my God.
Slap in the face to like, if you did have people that were like your C-list guests, you know what like that makes it abundantly clear.
Yes.
Like you immediately know that you're the filler guest.
It was, I mean, I can only look back and laugh. I have not thought of that moment in so long, but yeah, if you do, when you're saying like tell half the guests,
we shouldn't have, no, we're telling everybody.
You got to tell everybody.
I put it on the wedding website. That was my initial thing is I was like, ooh, what if I like found some like YouTube video or something of like an easy choreographed like two-step and like put it on the wedding website as like surprise, like everyone's gonna need to know this. I'm not telling you when or where, but like learn it. Then I think that's the way that we do it because we were like, how do we do this? Do we send it out in like PDF format to like cute? I'm like, no, because I want it to be the reason we did the transition is I feel like this is my own just wedding knowledge coming into play. I see so many times where like bride and groom will do like, you know, some emotional like father-daughter dance, everyone's sobbing, and then all of a sudden just playing Pitbull and like expecting everybody to like, okay, now get on the dance floor. And I was like, we need to bridge the gap. Like we need to bridge the gap so like we can do the cute first dance song with like mom and dad. Awesome. But I want it done fast, easy, over. And then ours can be like, you know, bit of a surprise, kind of fun, at least gets everybody to like look and be like, oh, like the energy is rising. And then transition it into like open dancing.
Yeah. So I love that idea.
Hopefully we pull it off. Okay. Last two. Welcome bags for guests.
I love a welcome bag. I like when there's random stuff in it. I like when there's a chapstick and a bag of chips that I'm definitely going to eat later. I like a little goodie bag. I don't think anyone's mad at a goodie bag at the onset. I think when it's at your hotel, like, okay, we checked into our hotel at this wedding a couple of years ago and they gave us a little goodie bag. The goodie bag was a miniature bottle of water, a bag of chips, and some like mini Advil. And I was like, oh my God, they thought of me.
They knew.
They knew I was coming. Like, but even just the simple act of being like, the hotel person was like, and what's your name? And then they gave me a bag. That was an elite experience. They could have gotten this stuff at like a gas station. It did not matter, but yeah, elite experience. What I don't like is at the end of the night when you're given a bunch of stuff and then it's like floating around and you have to remember to bring it home. That I think it's annoying, but at the beginning when you're already in your hotel, love it.
We did. So that was actually, I love that you said the like, I don't want to end up with it because that was our big thing was like, well, and then initially when we were talking about like gift ideas, I was like, oh, at the welcome party, we could put together like ranch water kits. And then I was like, somebody does not need like a little mini Patron bottle in the middle of the night. Like they're gonna come. There's already gonna be plenty of drinking. And so I'm like, no, it needs to be like exactly that, like at the hotel and like include all the things that you forget when traveling to like a destination place. Put a liquid IV in there, like things like that they will use throughout the wedding weekend instead of like, I mean, obviously ranch waters are cute, but still that is much more the thing. And then we were gonna do like actual gift bags for the wedding. And I was like, hold on, we're all getting on a bus to go out downtown. Nobody wants to tote things around. Yeah. So in lieu of that, we're doing like a trucker hat bar where people can like make their own trucker hats and wear them on the dance floor, you know, hook them to your purse, that kind of thing where I'm like, yes, you still have to like carry it, but way easier to carry than like, you know, some bag with like handles and things like that.
Yeah. And then it's actually practical for like using later.
Yes.
I'm just so excited.
See, I'm pumped. Well, and ours is like the week following the wedding, all of our families and stuff are staying up there to like be on the lake because we have a cabin on the lake right there. And so I was like, okay, this is perfect. We initially looked at doing a hat bar, which we've covered in this. Go back and listen to the $30,000 hat bar idea that we nixed. And we learned that like I started polling guests and they were like, I'm never gonna wear a cowboy hat. Like I'm from California. I'm gonna wear a cowboy hat. I was like, okay, fine. But trucker hats, who doesn't love a trucker hat?
Yeah.
Actually, it's fine. You can wear it on the lake. That was kind of the
and it's easier to transport if you're flying because like flying with a cowboy hat, you gotta wear that.
Also, I thought about it. I was like, people will be so mad if they have to wear because you have to wear it back. We didn't even we made custom hats when we were in Whitefish like 2 weeks ago. And we had that conversation. I was like, we can't fly back with these. Like we either have to wear them and they're too nice. Like I was like, I don't want to wear it and have to hold it all day. And so we ended up leaving them at my sister's house because I was like, we're going to be in Montana for the wedding anyways. And we know what they look like. Let's just leave them. Okay, last one. Content creators at weddings.
You know, I'm going to say love it. I think it's a very 2026 thing to do. And I think it speaks to how you want to use the content that you're capturing for your wedding. And if you want to have something that's ready to go and packaged so you can put it on Instagram, I think that's fabulous. Like, know yourself, know what you want to do with the photos or videos or whatever. And I think it's great. I'd say go for it.
I love it. We hired a content creator instead of a videographer, which is kind of a hot take. Yeah. But I just feel like so many of my like friends' wedding videos and stuff. Yeah, you hire a videographer, they're there all day, and then you get this like 2-minute highlight video that doesn't really show you any like, you know, behind the scenes moments of the day or like people interacting and stuff. It's just kind of like a music video.
Yes. Yeah, totally. I have one of myself. I'll send you the link.
I would love to see your music video. We went content creator, which I think was probably one of the more like untraditional modern things that we chose to do. I will say, as a photographer, this totally contradicts my own stance on this now, but as a photographer, I feel like a lot of content creators like came on the scene, but they didn't know their place in a wedding because they're a vendor, if you want to call them. I think now they're considered a vendor, but there was a period of time there where people were just like, so your cousin with an iPhone is going to like follow us around and be in the mix. And photographers and videographers, we're so used to working with each other that like you have the chat in the morning of like, usually you tell the couple, at least I do, to like always be looking at the photographer. Cause like video, you want more like, you know, they can be looking wherever, you're getting more slow-mo shots, things like that. But you're always looking at the photographer. The photographer is the one barking orders. That's just how we operate. And videographers know that. And so we know our marching orders. Content creators, however, came on the scene and they kind of want the hybrid of the two, which mess with photographers. So they're like, well, wait, now look at me. And they're holding their phone up. And I'm like, oh my God, now you're making people do things 10,000 times. And that kind of ruins the experience from like a photography standpoint. So I would say I love a content creator, but they have to be good at it. And like, I've worked with some who are and some who aren't. They need to be good. So like vet their content before throwing them in the mix. Cause a lot of people don't realize that like you have a media team on you all day. Like you'll have like 2 photographers, 2 videographers in front of you, if not like within 5 feet of you, like pretty much at all times throughout the day.
Maybe even introduce those people beforehand so that they can kind of like align on how you're going to work together. So you're not determining that like the day of, if they're not from the same organization or team or something. Yeah. Just don't impact the couple's experience. Like just be like, be in the shadows and get what you need, but don't make it about you. Cause
exactly
the couple.
Exactly. That's all of our love it or leave it's.
I loved all those questions, the love it or leave it's. Those were all so good. As always, if you made it this far in the episode, you're definitely a part of our Plannered family. So thank you for being here. And we will see you next week.
Woohoo!